Words determine destiny. I learned this at 24, broke and sleeping in my car. Nobody listened to me. My ideas died unheard. My suggestions went nowhere. I spoke but made no impact. It took losing everything to understand that communication isn't what you say, it's what they hear. You talk, they nod. Nothing happens. You explain your ideas in meetings. Colleagues glance at phones. Your points evaporate. You make suggestions to superiors. They acknowledge but never implement. You pitch to prospects. They say they'll think about it. They don't. The pattern repeats. Your words travel from your mouth to their ears, but never reach their minds. This invisible barrier costs you money, recognition, and opportunity every day. The solution is simpler than you think. 3 specific communication hacks that grab attention in 60 seconds or less. Not gimmicks, not manipulation. Proven techniques based on how the human brain processes information. I've tested these methods with thousands of professionals across 6 continents. The results remain consistent regardless of industry, culture, or context. These 3 hacks, the strategic pause, the clarifying question, and the precise paraphrase, can transform your communication immediately. I kept getting passed over for promotion, a software developer told me in Austin. My ideas were good, but nobody seemed to hear them. I watched him in a meeting. He rushed his words, interrupted others, never confirmed understanding. We implemented the 3 hacks. 2 months later, he called. They approved my project proposal. First time ever. 6 months later, he received the promotion. Same person, same ideas, different communication approach. Hack 1, the strategic pause creates power. Most people rush their words. They fear silence, think it signals weakness. They're wrong. The strategic pause signals confidence. It creates weight. It pulls listeners toward you rather than pushing information at them. The brain needs silence to process words. Without it, comprehension suffers. Attention scatters. Your most important points get lost in the noise. I consulted for a pharmaceutical executive who couldn't hold attention in board meetings. Her presentation sparked no engagement, no questions, no action. I sat in the back during her next presentation. She never paused. Words flowed in an unbroken stream, information without emphasis, data without significance. I suggested one change. Pause for 3 full seconds after each key point. Just silence, no fidgeting, no apologizing. Just calm, deliberate silence. That feels uncomfortable, she said. Most growth does. In her next presentation, she incorporated the strategic pause. The change was immediate. Board members leaned forward during those silences. They asked questions about her key points. They remembered her data. The strategic pause gave her words weight. The board approved her proposal. One small change, major impact. The strategic pause works in 3 specific places. First, pause before responding to any question. 3 to 5 seconds. Not 1 second. Not 2. 3 minimum. This single habit marks you as thoughtful rather than reactive. It shows you're considering their words, not just waiting for your turn to speak. Second, pause after making an important point. Let it land. Give the other person time to absorb it. Third, pause when asked a difficult question. Don't rush to answer. The silence demonstrates confidence, not confusion. A sales manager in Toronto implemented strategic pauses with his team. Their close rate increased 37% in 60 days. Same salespeople, same products, same market conditions, different communication pattern. The pauses added weight to their words, created space for customers to internalize value propositions, generated trust through demonstrated thoughtfulness. The strategic pause costs nothing but delivers immediate results. You must practice this hack deliberately. Start today. Your next conversation presents the opportunity. When someone asks a question, count to 3 before responding. The urge to fill silence will be strong. Resist it. Maintain eye contact. Breathe normally. Project calm confidence through the silence. After answering, ask if your response was clear. Then pause again. These small silences transform how others perceive your words. I once failed miserably with this technique. Speaking at a conference in Singapore, I rushed through my presentation without pauses. The audience seemed engaged, but afterwards, no one could recall my key points. The next day, I watched a local speaker use strategic pauses masterfully. The audience hung on every word. Later, I asked him about it. Silence creates anticipation, he said. People value what they wait for. That lesson changed my presentation style forever. Hack 2. The clarifying question builds understanding. Most communication fails before it begins. People assume they understand each other when they don't. This misalignment kills productivity, damages relationships, and prevents progress. The clarifying question prevents these failures. It ensures alignment before action. It demonstrates respect while building precise understanding. It separates excellent communicators from the merely competent. I worked with a construction company where projects consistently ran behind schedule. Cost overruns became normal. Tension between teams grew. The problem wasn't work ethic or skill, it was misalignment from poor communication. Project requirements passed through 5 people before reaching the crew. Each person assumed they understood correctly. None verified. We implemented mandatory clarifying questions at each handoff. "How exactly do you mean that?" became the standard response to any instruction. Completion time decreased 23%. Cost overruns dropped 41%. Same teams, same projects, different communication protocol. The most powerful clarifying question contains just 4 words. How do you mean? Not what do you mean, which sounds confrontational. How do you mean invites elaboration without implying confusion. It creates space for the other person to expand their thinking and clarify their intent. This question works in every context, with superiors, colleagues, employees, clients, even family members. It builds understanding while demonstrating genuine interest. A marketing executive in Dallas told me about a campaign that failed because her team misunderstood the target audience. "We thought we knew what the client wanted," she said. "We never verified." I taught her team to use clarifying questions in client meetings. "How exactly do you mean that? Could you expand on that point? What would success look like specifically?" Their next campaign exceeded targets by 34%. The clarifying questions prevented misalignment and created precision. Use clarifying questions even when you think you understand, especially then. Our brains create shortcuts. Fill gaps with assumptions. These mental shortcuts create efficiency but sacrifice accuracy. The clarifying question counters this tendency. It forces precision, creates shared understanding, builds trust through demonstrated attentiveness. Never assume understanding. Verify it with clarifying questions. I teach executives a simple framework. After receiving any important instruction or information, respond with, "Let me make sure I understand correctly. You're saying?" Then restate the key points as you understand them. Follow with, "How does that align with what you intended?" This approach prevents misunderstanding without making either party lose face. It creates clarity without confrontation. A healthcare administrator implemented clarifying questions in patient intake procedures. Medical errors dropped 26% in the first month. The questions revealed misunderstandings that would have led to incorrect treatments. The same principle applies in business communication. Clarifying questions reveal misalignments before they become costly mistakes. They prevent problems rather than solving them after damage occurs. Practice this hack today. In your next meeting, ask at least 3 clarifying questions, not to challenge or confront, to understand more deeply. Watch how this changes the quality of information you receive. Notice how others respond to your genuine interest. See how precision replaces ambiguity. The habit feels awkward at first, but quickly becomes natural. The results appear immediately. Hack 3. The precise paraphrase confirms understanding. Most people listen poorly. They hear words but miss meanings. They nod while their minds wander. The precise paraphrase solves this problem. It demonstrates understanding, creates connection, builds trust, shows respect. The simple act of restating someone's message in your own words transforms communication from one-way transmission to true two-way exchange. I consulted for a technology company experiencing high client turnover. Service quality remained excellent, but relationships deteriorated. Clients felt unheard despite frequent communication. I observed client meetings for a week. The pattern became clear. Account managers talked far more than they listened. When clients spoke, managers waited for their turn rather than truly hearing concerns. We implemented mandatory paraphrasing. Before responding to any client concern, managers had to restate it in their own words. Client retention improved 58% in 1 quarter. Nothing changed except this one communication practice. The precise paraphrase follows a simple formula. If I understand correctly, you're saying. Then restate their message in your own words, not verbatim repetition, true restatement that captures their meaning. This demonstration of understanding creates psychological safety, shows respect, builds connection, the other person feels heard, sometimes for the first time in the conversation. A sales representative in Houston struggled with closing deals. Prospects seemed interested but rarely committed. I reviewed his pitch. The problem wasn't his product knowledge, but his listening pattern. He heard objections as rejection rather than requests for information. He defended rather than understood. I taught him to paraphrase each objection before addressing it. So you're concerned about implementation time. You need this solution working within 30 days to meet your quarterly goals. His close rate doubled within 60 days. Same prospects, same products, different listening approach. The precise paraphrase creates 4 specific benefits. First, it confirms actual understanding rather than assumed understanding. Second, it demonstrates respect by showing you value the other person's perspective. Third, it creates space for correction if misunderstanding exists. Fourth, it builds psychological safety that encourages honest communication. These benefits compound with each exchange, building relationships while improving information quality. I worked with a team leader who couldn't understand why his directives weren't followed correctly. I'm clear, he insisted. They just don't listen. The actual problem, they didn't understand but feared admitting confusion. We introduced a team practice. After receiving instructions, team members paraphrased them back. So we're focusing on the Johnson project first, then the Miller proposal, with quality review deadlines on Wednesday and Friday. This simple practice reduced errors by 74%. The same instructions, the same team, different confirmation protocol. Practice this hack deliberately. In your next 3 conversations, paraphrase the other person's key points before responding. If I understand correctly, you're saying, then restate their message in your own words. Watch their reaction. Notice how this changes the emotional tone. See how it creates connection and prevents misunderstanding. The technique feels mechanical at first, but quickly becomes natural. The impact is immediate and profound. These 3 hacks, the strategic pause, the clarifying question, and the precise paraphrase, work together as a system. The pause creates space for thought. The question builds understanding. The paraphrase confirms alignment. Together, they transform communication from mere word exchange to true connection. Implement all 3 and watch your influence grow. Your ideas will gain traction. Your relationships will strengthen. Your impact will expand. A financial advisor in Chicago struggled to convince clients to follow his investment advice. I explain everything clearly, he told me. They nod and agree, then do something completely different. I observed his client meetings. He talked continuously, never paused, never verified understanding, never confirmed alignment. We implemented all 3 hacks: strategic pauses after key points, clarifying questions to ensure comprehension, precise paraphrases to confirm alignment. Client implementation of his advice increased 64% in 90 days. Same advisor, same advice, different communication approach. These hacks work in every communication context, with superiors who hold authority, with colleagues who share responsibility, with employees who need direction, with customers who make buying decisions, with family members who share your life. The principles transcend relationship type because they address fundamental human psychology. We all need space to process information. We all need clarity to act effectively. We all need confirmation to feel confident. I watched a parent struggle with a teenager who seemed to ignore everything said. The frustration built on both sides. Communication deteriorated into conflict. I suggested these 3 hacks. Pause before responding to give full consideration. Ask clarifying questions to understand the teenager's perspective. Paraphrase their concerns before offering guidance. The relationship transformed within weeks. The same parent, the same teenager, different communication approach. Implement these hacks sequentially. Master the strategic pause first. Practice it for 1 week until the discomfort fades and it becomes natural. Next, add clarifying questions. Use them deliberately in every important conversation. Finally, incorporate precise paraphrases. Confirm understanding before moving forward. The entire implementation takes 3 weeks. The results last a lifetime. I failed at this sequence initially. Tried implementing all 3 hacks simultaneously. The effort felt overwhelming and artificial. My communication suffered rather than improved. I stepped back, focused on mastering 1 hack at a time. The strategic pause for 1 week was for 1. Clarifying questions the next week, precise paraphrases the 3rd week. By focusing on 1 hack at a time, each became natural before adding complexity. The sequential approach succeeded where simultaneous implementation failed. These communication hacks sound simple. They are. Their power lies in their simplicity. Most people know them conceptually, but few practice them consistently. Therein lies your advantage. Consistent application of these basic principles will separate you from 95% of communicators. Your words will carry weight, your ideas will gain traction, your influence will expand, not through manipulation or persuasive trickery, through genuine connection and clear understanding. A manager in manufacturing implemented these hacks with his team. Their productivity increased 42% in 60 days. Safety incidents decreased 67%. I asked what changed beyond communication. Nothing, he said. We're making the same products with the same equipment and the same people. The difference is that now we truly understand each other. And communication creates the foundation for everything else. When communication improves, everything improves. The time to implement is now, not tomorrow, not next week, today. Your next conversation provides the opportunity. Use the strategic pause, ask clarifying questions, provide precise paraphrases. These small changes require no permission, no resources, no special circumstances, just your decision to communicate differently. The impact will appear immediately. People will listen more attentively. Respond more positively. Implement your ideas more consistently. I doubted these principles early in my career. Thought effective communication required natural charisma or aggressive confidence. I was wrong. Effective communication requires space, clarity, and confirmation. The strategic pause creates space. The clarifying question builds clarity. The precise paraphrase confirms understanding. These elements transcend personality, position, and circumstance. They work for the naturally quiet and the naturally outgoing. They work up and down organizational hierarchies. They work across cultures and contexts. A CEO in Singapore struggled with employee engagement despite numerous initiatives. Surveys showed people felt unheard and misunderstood. The executive communication style emphasized efficiency over connection. Information flowed quickly, but understanding lagged. We implemented these 3 hacks in executive team meetings. The leadership team then cascaded them throughout the organization. Engagement scores improved 37% in 6 months. The same company, the same employees, different communication patterns. These hacks work because they address the 3 fundamental requirements for human understanding. First, we need time to process information. The strategic pause provides this time. Second, we need clarity to act effectively. The clarifying question builds this clarity. Third, we need confirmation to move forward confidently. The precise paraphrase creates this confirmation. These requirements remain constant regardless of context, culture, or content. I worked with a sales team selling complex technical products. Their close rate hovered around 22% despite excellent product knowledge. The problem wasn't information, but connection. They overwhelmed prospects without ensuring understanding. We implemented these 3 hacks in their sales conversations. Close rates increased to 39% within 90 days. The same products, the same price points, the same target market, different communication approach. Many resist these techniques initially. They worry about appearing slow, uncertain, or mechanical. These concerns fade with practice. Strategic pauses quickly begin to feel natural and powerful rather than awkward. Clarifying questions become genuine expressions of interest rather than scripted inquiries. Precise paraphrases transform into seamless parts of conversation rather than formal exercises. The initial discomfort lasts days. The benefits last years. I've taught these communication hacks to CEOs and entry-level employees, to sales professionals and technical experts, to parents and teachers. The contexts differ, but the principles remain constant. The strategic pause always creates space for thought. The clarifying question always builds precision. The precise paraphrase always confirms understanding. These universal principles work because they align with how human minds process information. A physician implemented these hacks in patient consultations. Patient compliance with treatment protocols increased 58%. Medical outcomes improved correspondingly. The same treatments, the same patients, different communication approach. The physician reported an unexpected benefit. Their professional satisfaction increased significantly. I feel connected to my patients for the first time in years, they told me. Effective communication serves both parties, not just the speaker. Start today, right now. Your next conversation provides the opportunity. When someone speaks to you, pause before responding. Count to 3 silently, then ask, how exactly do you mean that? Listen carefully to their response. Paraphrase their message back to them. So if I understand correctly, you're saying, These 3 simple actions will transform the quality of your communication immediately. These hacks require no special talent, no advanced education, no particular personality type. They require only consistent application. The strategic pause takes 3 seconds, but changes how others perceive your words. The clarifying question takes 5 seconds, but prevents costly misunderstandings. The precise paraphrase takes 10 seconds, but confirms alignment before action. Small investments, enormous returns. Your future depends on your ability to communicate effectively. Not just your career, your relationships, your impact, your legacy. Words shape reality. They move others to action or indifference. They build connections or create distance. The difference between success and struggle often comes down to communication effectiveness. These 3 hacks transform that effectiveness immediately. I was once the person nobody listened to. My ideas died unheard. My career stalled. My influence remained minimal. These communication hacks changed everything for me. They will do the same for you if you implement them consistently, not tomorrow, today, right now, your next conversation, your next meeting, your next presentation. Pause strategically, question for clarity, paraphrase precisely, watch what happens. The world responds differently to those who communicate effectively. It opens doors that remain closed to others. The choice is yours. Continue communicating as you have been with the same results, or implement these 3 hacks and transform your impact immediately. Not through manipulation, through genuine connection, not through domination, through true understanding. These principles have stood the test of time across cultures and contexts. They work because they align with human psychology. Start now. Your future self will thank you.